Welcome to Reading the Bible with Pastor. Today we're on Genesis chapter 32, starting at verse 22. Previously we had read that Jacob was returning to the land of Canaan, and there he knew he would be meeting up with his brother Esau. Esau was coming with 400 men, and Jacob feared because the last words spoken by Esau was that he would kill Jacob. But in the meantime, as Jacob is sending his family into the land of Canaan, he is by himself on the one side of a river, and there he wrestles with God. The same night he arose and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 children, and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. He took them and sent them across the stream, and everything else he had. And Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. Being alone here, Jacob might have thought this was Esau that he was wrestling with, but in fact it is God. When the man saw that he did not prevail against Jacob, he touched the hip socket, and Jacob's hip was put out of joint as he wrestled with him. To put a man's hip out of socket would take a lot of pressure from someone, but we see here just by a touch, his hip was put out of socket, and showing that the man that Jacob is dealing with is greater than man. He is in fact divine. Then he said, "Let me go, for the day has broken." But Jacob said, "I will not let you go unless you bless me." Here Jacob knows that what he is dealing with is God. This is who he is dealing with. And says, "I will not let you go unless you bless me," because he knows blessings come from God. And he said to him, "What is your name?" Now God knows Jacob's name, but here he intends to change his name. And he said, "Jacob." Then he said, "Your name shall no longer be Jacob, but Israel," which means wrestles with God. "For you have striven with God and with men and have prevailed." Then Jacob asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he said, "Why is it that you ask my name?" And there he blessed him. God reveals himself as he will, and he reveals himself by his word and his actions. And here Jacob is asking for a name, maybe a secret name that only Jacob might know, but God only reveals himself as he pleases, and as is good for us. So Jacob called the name of the place Peniel, which means face of God, saying, "For I have seen God face to face, and yet my life has been delivered." Seeing God face to face as a result of sin is dangerous. In fact, you will die if you see God's glory face to face. And we can read in Exodus chapter 33, verse 20, and this is God speaking to Moses. "But he said, 'You cannot see my face, for man shall not see me and live.'" Here, Jacob sees God face to face and lives because God is merciful and intends to use Jacob to be the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. We'll continue reading with verse 31. "The sun rose upon him as he passed Penuel, limping because of his hip. Therefore to this day the people of Israel do not eat the sinew of the thigh that is on the hip socket, because he touched the socket of Jacob's hip on the sinew of the thigh." Now this isn't a law, this is a cultural thing that was passed down to the people, that they did not eat the sinew of the hip socket, to show that this event actually took place, that Jacob wrestled with God. Now Jacob is going to meet up with Esau, and we'll read about that next time as we begin chapter 33. Please subscribe and share this with others as we continue to read the Bible in Genesis.